Hey, welcome back to the Town Tinker. 1,000 plus subscribers strong. Thank you very much for clicking subscribe, for coming back, for watching the videos. I do appreciate it. Now let's get to work. That was dumb. That was dumb. Every tool's a hammer, unless it's a screwdriver, then it's a chisel.
We need a torch. Hate that nut.
We're not doing that. Because it ain't built till it's overbuilt. Don't force it. Get a bigger hammer. Every day's a school day. I'm back down here at the community skating rink trying to get this ice squared away. I just got here. I haven't really looked around much yet, but it's really kind of rough looking, which I knew it was going to be. I just don't really know what I'm going to do about it, okay? Let's see. It is all frozen now, finally. It does a little cracking here and there. I don't know if that's normal. Look at that. But it is frozen solid. Like I can see, if you look, there's air bubbles down just above the tarp in there. They don't move when you walk over it, so there's no water anymore. It's all ice. I gotta believe the cracking is just the whatever air there is, those air bubbles. This is probably the thinnest spot right in here where the ground was the highest. I guess I'm gonna see if I can smooth some of this crap up and then put some more water on it. We could put another inch probably before we start to spill over that lowest spot. Okay, forgot to hit record on my time lapse, but I went around with a axe and I chipped away all the high spots, all the stuff that was floating and sticking up. And there was a bunch of, like, I don't know, shell ice where it was really, really thin ice and then a layer of air. These whole big areas here were like this. So I tripped all that crap away, got a broom, swept it all off. So there's nothing left on there that really can float. I got another load of water coming. We're gonna dump one load and walk away, and we're gonna see what that does. Maybe it'll be great, or maybe it'll be the worst. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Okay, what we have now is a disaster. It's not good. I can see now some of the mistakes that we've made. When I say we, I mean me. I'm gonna do something that you don't see a whole lot of. I'm gonna take full responsibility for this train wreck. It seems there have been a series of mistakes made, so I'm gonna go ahead and own the whole mess. Judging by the date, which is sneaking up on late January, and the weather forecast, which is warm, maybe some rain, there's a chance we may not have a community rink this year. I don't mean to laugh. It's not that I don't take it seriously, I do. But this is all new, and I think I have managed to make most of the mistakes that a guy can make. Let me walk you through what we've done here and where I think I've gone wrong with this, and the lessons learned. So if you're trying to make ice, keep ice, grow ice for a community rink, or just for a rink in your backyard, maybe you can learn a thing or two. Okay? Because I sure am getting smarter by the minute. All right, mistake number one. I believe, anyways, this was a mistake. And that was not either finding a more level place or setting I keep wanting to call them forms, but the boards around the edge, setting them level at the highest spot. In other words, pick your high spot and then use a transit and strike them level all the way around. The reason we didn't, the problem with that, and the reason why we didn't do it is you'd have to cut shims to go underneath because you can't leave a gap, you know? So you'd have to cut, I guess, shims to go under there. Where this is, we couldn't use dirt because this is the middle of the soccer field. So we can't mess it up. I understand why this is wrong, but I don't really know in this instance how we can make it right. It may be that if I had just been much more fussy with the transit when I was checking, we may find that if we moved it 15 feet that way, maybe it's more level. But what we have is a hump in the center here. You can tell by the boards. Down there, we're right full to the brim with water. And then in here, there's only an inch or so of ice in the center. So there's 8 inches down there, 1 or so here, and then probably 3 or 4-ish here. There's definitely 6 or so in the center, you know, and 3 or 4 on the edges. So, or in the corners, I mean. So step 1 was it's not level enough, even though I thought it was. Mistake number 2, because it's not level and we knew it, when we started putting water in it, we put a load in, and a fire truck load in, and it all went to the low spots, you know. So we ended up putting 1 load in that end, 1 load in this end, and leaving it to freeze because we were afraid that the weight of that water, if we filled it, might blow out our forms. And that's a mistake. When you fill it, fill it. First of all, it seems these are just 1/2-inch rebar driven in the ground. They're 2 feet long. They're driven in the ground every 4 feet. 1 stake every 4 feet. And that is more than enough. You can fill this thing with water. So we didn't. We put a load here and a load here, and we let it freeze, thinking that once it's frozen, we can add more water and it's not going to be pushing out on the forms as much because it's a solid block of ice, which I'm not a physicist, but that may be true and it may be not true, but it seemed to make sense to us. So then when we added water, I added 3 more loads of water trying to fill it to cover the tarp in the high spot. And when we did that, the ice down here and the ice down here floated. And when it floats, it doesn't just come up and float. It breaks as it's trying to float. It starts breaking off and popping up, and it floats all uneven, and it ends up super rough. So before I put the 3 loads of water in was the video that I showed you where I made some holes in the plastic and found some holes in the plastic and patched, I think patched all the holes in the plastic, which I think I did, because then we put 3 loads of water in, we let it freeze, and it was okay except for where that ice had floated all uneven. It was really jagged, plus there was some slush from the snow that was in there that I couldn't remove because I didn't want to shovel on that tarp anymore. So these are all problems that wouldn't have existed had we just filled it to the brim to begin with, I think. So now we've got the 3 loads in, but it floated, you know, the ice floated. So it's really rough. So I came down, like you saw earlier in this video, I chipped all the high stuff that I could, shoveled it all off, so there was nothing that was gonna float, you know, and make a problem. I thought I was on track, right? We added 1 more load of water. And the water is so warm coming from the firehouse, or I think that load, he put a fresh load on right out of the well, which means it's coming out of the ground, but it's still probably 60 degrees, you know? It's pretty warm. And when you dump it in, it melts a lot of ice. So when we dumped it in here kind of towards this end. Actually, you can see right where it's rough right in here. I don't know if that shows on the video or not. But, and right away I knew we were in trouble because it started to float again. It started to break. All of this thinner ice was either melting away or breaking. But I still kind of thought it won't be a problem. It'll just freeze back up and I'll deal with the rough spots after. You know, once we have enough ice, I can deal with the rough spots, even if I have to go around by hand and chip away at them and melt them smooth, you know. I came back the next day to check on it, which was yesterday, and you can see where I walked out here. This whole area there's no ice. There's ice that crumbles because there's air under it, and then you're right to the plastic tarp. So I think what happened was when we put that water in and that ice floated or melted away, I think it lifted the tape off the leaks that I had sealed up. I think it lifted them off. And once they were off, they didn't go back where they were supposed to be, obviously. And as it was freezing from the top down, it was draining on the bottom out through the holes. So now we've got basically a disaster. So what I'm going to do is I borrowed my wife's leaf blower, don't tell her, and I'm going to blow off the snow. That way I don't shovel and make any more holes in the tarp or cripple myself with a bad back. And I'm just going to see what I can see here. If I can find the holes and see that they're open, that the tape came off. Today's a warmer day. Today it's above freezing, just barely today, and I think tomorrow might be even warmer. I think I'll try one more time. I don't want to give up because there's a chance it could work, but I think I'll try to patch the holes one more time and put water in it one more time and see if we can salvage something out of this. Even if I could get, because we had decent ice on both ends. This end being the bigger area, it was probably to here. So even if I could just get back to where I have good ice here, I'll just block this off, and at least the kids can skate on this end. You know, it's not great, but it's better than nothing. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna try to clear this off without doing any more damage and see if I can't salvage something. Wish me luck. Come with me, I'll show you. Just don't understand. On this end, all pretty good ice. Could be smoother, but I can deal with that. If I have to slide around here on my belly in a cheese grater with a Burns-O-Matic torch, I'll do it. So the roughness doesn't bother me too much. Well, here, these are where my patches were. And this ice, it cracks a little bit. So there is a little air under it, but not that much. It seems, I don't know, maybe it is too much. Oh yeah, it keeps going, it keeps settling the more you walk on it. So there's definitely air under there. But here's the real problem. You get over here, there's ice, there's like an inch of ice, but for some reason, when you walk on it, it just crumbles. And I don't understand. I do see there's some damage here. Maybe it weeped out there, the water. I mean, I can dry these up and tape them. The night we put the water in was a cold night, so it would have froze fairly quick. See, here's a whole nother area where it's the same way. It's right there, was an inch or so of ice, but it all crumbled and just fell apart. And even out here where it seems okay, it crunches when you walk on it, and I feel like as soon as you get some traffic on it, it's gonna fall apart. And then there's a second problem, I think unrelated, but it's this stuff on top. So here where this is happening, this is probably 6-inch thick ice. And it only goes down a little ways. But I would have thought that would have gone away when we reflooded it. This was like this before. I chipped it all up, swept it all off, had it clean. so that when we reflooded it, I thought would just fill those voids in and freeze, but I don't know, for some reason it wants to do it again. It's like it's got air in it or under it or whatever. It's just a lot. It's a big area all around here. So here I'm no danger of going through like to the tarp, but it's not good. You couldn't skate on it, that's for sure. It's super rough. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should put more water in, try it again. If I should maybe if I just had, like I said, the water was warm. Maybe if I just put the water in here where the ice is really thick, would that somehow be better? We can't put cold water in because we can't take any chance of freezing the fire truck up, obviously. We can't mess around. It has to be warm on the truck. There's just no way around it. So look, if you're a person that knows anything about skating rinks, making ice, keeping ice, hear how even here it looks okay, but I'm actually right between that hole and that hole. I'm standing right between them, and it's crunchy. But then over here, all of a sudden, it just falls right apart. I don't understand. I'm gonna clean all these chunks out of here, see if there's holes here. Like I said, there's a little damage here. Could it be as simple as patching up these spots? If I find any over here, patch them up and put more water in. It's befuddling. Pretty sure that's a word. Oh, and another thing, over here along the edge, for some reason it hollowed right out. It's right down. I don't know if that'll show real well in the video, but you know, way down. My fingertips are touching tarp. That got to be something to do with putting warm water in. The question is, why didn't it just sit there and refreeze? Where did it go? Did it go, was it something to do with, you know, this whole iceberg floated and that water went under it or something? Or did it just leak out somewhere? I don't know. But I am kind of happy to see that over here, which was where all my patches were, like I said, it's crunching a little, but I thought that was going to be the place where there was no ice left at all. You know, I thought I was going to find these patches had kind of floated away when we filled it with water. It had lifted them off and then it drained, but that, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be the case. They all appear to be intact, laying flat, so I would assume they're still stuck. I don't know, maybe they're not, but it kind of looks like they are. I'm glad I used black duct tape. I'm at a loss. Help me. If you know what I'm doing wrong, help me. So there it is. I am really at a loss. I don't know if I should even, I could get another load of water. Maybe that's exactly what I should do, but I'm a little leery since the last time we put water on, it got worse because it was all ice. It was just rough. And I thought put more water on top, it'll level it out, freeze it. Come to realize we should have filled it right to the brim the very first day. Probably we wouldn't be having these problems. But here we are having them. I would like to find a solution. Like I said, the weather the next few days is supposed to be like almost 50, I think, a couple days. Got some rain coming. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I'm in upstate New York. If you're the master of all things ice rink, reach out to me. If you are not local, but you know what I'm doing wrong or what I should do, please comment, find me on social media, send me a message, whatever it takes. I really want this to work. People in town really wanted it. I hate to have it not work just because I'm an idiot. I don't mind being an idiot, but this isn't the way I wanted this to go. This whole thing's become kind of embarrassing to me, to be honest, because I know it's something everybody wanted. But I remember my dad telling me one time, the only people that never do something wrong is the people that never do anything. So just keep trying. So here we are, plugging away. If you're watching this and you're thinking, hey, my buddy Jim, he knows all about ice, please send him a link to it, or just let him know to watch it, or something, because I really would appreciate anybody's advice. I am at a loss. I like I said, I think there's a lot of little things I think we did wrong along the way. In hindsight, I can see, and it's kind of like Chernobyl. A lot of little tiny things can lead to meltdown. But still a little optimistic that maybe I can save it for this year. I know it all depends on the weather. We've got to get back down to some super cold weather, but there's a chance, and I've got to keep pressing on as if it's going to work, because I don't want to just give up on it. I've taken enough of your time. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click subscribe. Tell your friends, click subscribe. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.